No film has affected me more than Durandhar.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are not ready for this.
Character of Rahman Dekha, obviously it's a kind of a play to the gallery, like what a Gabbar Singh did in Sholay, in spite of the presence of Amitabh Bachchan and Dharmendra. Treating him like a real person and who can bleed and who can feel pain and all that, that breaking all records is something I think nobody saw this coming. Dhurandhar is not just one more film. It broke the structure of screenplay, whatever we followed 6 decades, maybe more. So when I am seeing Durandhar, I don't know, I never heard of Pakistani gangs. I never heard of Lyri. KGF 2 works and everybody wants to do KGF 2. A RRR works or something, they want to do that. General practice ever since the movie industry came. After seeing Durandhar 2, see, if Pushpa 2 came now, will they watch somebody flying around biting people on the neck and shoulders with his hands tied back? I am not highly doubtful about it.
டார்லிங் ஏசி திருவிழா இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் ஏசி.
சம்மர் வந்தாச்சு, எங்க கிட்ட விட்டுருங்க, நாங்க பாத்துக்கிறோம்.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
MCR Pure Cotton Club, formals and casual shirts.
Hello Sarji.
Hi.
How are you? We are in Bombay. What is happening here? Anurag Kashyap has shifted to Bangalore. You have shifted from Hyderabad back to Bombay. This is for good, right?
Yeah.
You're not going back to Hyderabad.
No.
You're not going to make Telugu films anymore.
No.
From now on, only Hindi films.
Yes.
But you're not doing Sarkar 4.
No.
What happened?
See, the main point, no film has affected me more than Dhurandhar. I can't remember the last time. Maybe something I can say before I became a director, probably Steven Spielberg's Jaws, or of course Coppola's Godfather.
Right.
Such films, Post me coming into the industry, I believe that, like I said, Durandhar really, it's like a punch in the stomach, for want of a better word. So, more or less, if you look at my career, if my most memorable films like a Shiva or a Satya, Company, Sarkar, they all are derivatives of Godfather,
right.
In a way.
Right.
So it's like some kind of a crime organization or whatever the power plays internally between the characters, Now for me, that benchmark is what I was trying to derive upon. Thoda idhar se idhar le rahe the, I'll do this and that. But now after seeing Durandhar, this became my new benchmark.
Right.
What Aditya did, he took elements of Satya and Company, which he himself mentioned even about Shiva and all that. But adding geopolitics to terrorism to intelligence network, the scale has become like from a James Hadley's book to a Frederick Foster book. That is how I would think the difference is. So whether I can do a film like that or not is about we'll have to wait and watch. But not to have an intention after seeing Durandhar to make something as good, as different or as whatever, I feel it's a crime to go back to the where I started from, which is the main reason.
Why do we have to compare any movie to Dhurandhar? Why can't that just be? Because we have a lot of people saying things like, oh, the Yash Raj franchises, 5 franchises gone. Dharma's films no longer valid. Oh, whatever, Excel films. But why can't that be?
See, there are 2 sides to what you're saying.
Right.
See, if you're going to a hotel, all kinds of cuisine are available. You might enjoy all kinds of cuisine depending on your mood and time. But I don't know if it can be said the same way. Dhurandhar is not just one more film. See, it broke the structure of screenplay, whatever we followed for 6 decades, maybe more, And when the whole thing has gone to that kind of a high, I feel just to make the film what you're making, I feel it's being blind, honestly. See, when I made Shiva, when Godfather came, okay, now before that is not that films were not made. There are thousands of films made even before Godfather.
Yeah.
But in the way it was made, the characters, the realism, X and Y, people tended to go to it. And why will there be so many imitations of Godfather over the years? Like if Godfather was made in 1972, I made Sarkar in 2005. Animal was made maybe in 2024 or something, So I think impactful film is different from making a film. You know? See, lot of big hits came, maybe not as much as Dhurandhar, but you will forget the moment you come out of those.
Right.
Then it's a question of your intention. Do you want to make the film or do you want to make a film? So many times I made films which absolutely flops and no one noticed and no one even registered them. For some reason, I got into that mind state. I almost feel reborn from the time I made my first film, because I had that passion, had that excitement, I had that kind of a intensity in trying to capture something. So when I go back to now what I've been doing and what I wanted to do, a franchise I've been involved with, that is boring me. That is kind of, if Durandhar didn't come, I would have done my whatever best I'm capable of. But they don't seem like films anymore for me. I'm talking about even the films I made, forget about Sarkar 4. Satya Company, all of them seem too small and minute in comparison. Yeah. So see, if you look at, I'll just give one example. We've been watching the so-called hero films since the last 7-8 years, maybe since Bahubali, the larger than life, low angle, background score thumping heroes. Here suddenly, in around the same template, if the story, if you look at it, there is a hero who's been sent for a cause, he's working for the nation and he's taken great risk and he did whatever, blah, blah. But in the way he made the film, this is the hero, nobody throws coins, nobody throws papers at him. He's just absorbed into the story as a character. He only is there when he is required.
Right.
And the whole screenplay, Aditya didn't put it to elevate one man to make people hero worship. That kind of cinema is what the staple diet of Indian cinema was, in the last whatever years. When that is broken and him treating him like a real person and who can bleed and who can feel pain and all that, that breaking all records is something I think nobody saw this coming.
Right.
Like, for example, one of the most beautiful lines when I was talking to Aditya, I said, how can you have a climax which is going on and on? After the climax, 40 minutes, 30 minutes film is going on. He says that there's no such thing as a climax. For a realistic film in a real life, there's no climax. In my mind, the story was of Hamza, a man who came from a village and blah, 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 whatever happened. And he went back to the village. It is emotional journey and how these incidents had kind of affected him overall as a person is a story. So killing of Major Iqbal is one of the incidents. I never thought of it, but because film industry people are so conditioned to think main villain ko marne ke baad ho gaya picture. That is a conditioning we got. But the shocking thing, Aditya not thinking like that, and he went on with Hamza, what happened to him after that. And then he didn't have a problem with doing a film like that. And the more shocking thing, the audience also didn't have a problem. It's only the filmmakers who are kind of, audience are kind of sitting in rapt attention till the end titles.
Right.
So that is one part. Now imagine after a 30-minute fight with Major Iqbal, in the next scene he's being beaten like a dog. When did you ever see a film like that? When did you ever see a scene like that? So it is not just about the twists in the story. The structure of what Indian cinema believes so far, how a screenplay structure of so-called commercial films should be, the twists are more there actually, more than the story. Yeah.
Going back to what you're saying, one of the things I really, really liked about the movie is, you're right, after killing Iqbal, this guy is captured, he's tortured. He doesn't escape on his own. He still needs the help of Indian intelligence.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
To escape.
Correct.
So that what you're talking about, the geopolitics, he's not doing some herogiri and coming out on his own.
Yeah.
He still needs Madhavan's help to make those phone calls and all that. Yes, there is a heroism flavor there, but hero is not doing that kind of a thing.
No, see, I don't think there's a heroism flavor actually. If you look at it, he's as flawed as these so-called bad guys.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from the perspective of Indians, if you forget that, as a character, he's doing as many betrayals or manipulation, all that he's doing as much as the others are doing.
Right.
We are just taking this side because we are on this side.
As in Ranveer's side.
No, on Indian side.
Indian side,
Yeah,
right.
no.
Ah.
He's Ranveer Singh is an Indian, he's going into Pakistan. So
Yeah.
I'm already on this side.
Yeah.
But if you only look at from the top angle, all of them are grey. Each and every one of them. So in the context of that, the fact that what do you call? So one brilliant scene, one brilliant line I feel in the film is, which actually makes the point for me. When he comes back, Ranveer Singh, and Madhavan meets him for the first time, he says, "You did good." That's such a flat line. I thought he will really come and hug him or say, "Fantastic, desh ke liye ye kiya ho." That's what I thought. But by saying it so flatly, the signal he sent me is that he's got hundreds of Hamzas, out of which this guy is one whose story we saw.
Yeah.
So he is not going to be as impressed as the audience because the audience have seen him.
Yeah.
Who knows what all he is doing?
Yeah.
Because now suddenly even Rakesh Bedi becomes a hero at the end. Everybody becomes a hero, and not only him. So it is a teamwork of so many things happening which they have to put the pawns, and the master guy maybe is Madhavan's character. So I think that kind of a treatment is something I have never seen.
Yeah.
Even if you look at a Munich of Spielberg, it's the nearest comparison to send someone to take revenge on what a terrorist network who did something. I find it a far, far superior film.
You find Durandhar to be a far.
Far. Yeah.
Before we get into, I want to talk to you more about some of the scenes. What do you make of this whole Dhurandhar is propaganda charge?
See, if you look at defining the word propaganda, is you're trying to pitch in something, sometimes could be false, exaggerated, or misrepresented to make your point. We communicate, every one of us have our belief systems. I'll just give an example. If in a court there's a prosecution and there's a defense, the prosecution's purpose is to prove the accused guilty, and the defense purpose is to prove non-guilty. So they will have selective evidence in the way they present, the way they argue the case. That also will come under propaganda for me, because the purpose is that. But do you call it a propaganda? No, you don't. So Aditya Dar is entitled to have his viewpoint, his belief system. Likewise, and the only way, in fact, I just put a tweet on the way to here, and the people who believe it's a propaganda and full of lies, all they need to do is to get their own Aditya Dar and make a film debunking whatever Durandhar is trying to push. So I have a problem with the very word propaganda. So every one of us, always we push our point. It could be some channels will say this, some channels say the negative. Whole world over in the social media, wherever it is, all of them are trying to push their belief into the market and see what it sticks. So I don't think is anything different. Now see whether are you going to define it as Aditya that didn't believe it, but he did it for a purpose of someone else's thing? That you can talk about that till the cows come home. How does it make a difference?
Yeah.
And that is one part in the content you're saying. The other part is in the point of how he did it. You see, there is no such thing as truth in today's world. It's about what seems believable, what looks believable to the majority. Let me put it that way. So if the majority of the people going by its collections are believing it to be the truth, then how does it make a difference if somebody else says that?
No, it doesn't make a difference, but I wanted to just see what you thought about this propaganda.
Yeah, I don't believe. See, my point is the sources of information, what he believed as a free individual in a country, as a filmmaker, he's got every right to believe that. There could be someone who will say otherwise, But how does he know? No, see, Aditya also cannot prove. He's just showing what he believes.
Yeah.
No.
I like the analogy you made about a courtroom where each side presents selective evidence in order to make a case, as in
Correct.
But I think the idea of propaganda, why this film is because I think some people expect balance, like a certain kind of a certain kind of balance in terms of storytelling. And
But see, balance as a word, I think, is being too loose to that. In the context. Let me put it this way. Now, to start with, a film, no matter what you say, based on true story or the huge disclaimer they gave in the beginning, it is not supposed to be taken
right.
literally. You know, it is the point. If you write a book, or if you write a column, or if you review a film, you will talk only about your opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
And your opinion might not be shared by the box office, maybe some other critic or some other viewer or whatever. So all of us at the end of the day are expressing our views. So this question of it should be balanced from whose perspective.
Yeah.
If this is what he believed, that is what he showed.
And one of the things that I feel many people are missing out is the fact that, of course, this is a spoiler-filled conversation. We'll put that on the thumbnail. The very fact that the final reveal of Rakesh Bedi shows that these operations have been on for a very long time. So it's across governments. It's not just that this one particular government, the frame of this story kind of happens now, but the actual person, you go back to the person who actually saves Ranveer at the end in Pakistan, is somebody put in some other government's time. So even the propaganda charge seems like, it's kind of a little cloudy, that I don't.
No. See, but there my problem is, I'll tell you. Okay, I'll give parallel example. When Quentin Tarantino made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the whole end part of the Manson family coming in and this guy killing, that never happened.
Yeah.
That's a recorded crime.
Yeah.
That is a, what do you call, it's in the records of Charles Manson's conviction, of the final conviction, how it happened. And all Tarantino said, I wanted to see something, what if this happens? I wish this could happen.
Same thing
now,
with
that is the whole
Inglourious
point.
Bastards also.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Hitler.
Correct. It
Yeah.
never. So my point is whether, see, why he did that is for Aditya to say. But if I want to go to speculate that Aditya made a film in the context of what he heard, what he thought could have been the truth, what was told to him by some sources, a mix of that, and finally he made a film.
Yeah.
A film by definition can never be said this is the truth.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary at all.
Yeah.
This is my vision. See, for example, when 5 people tell me about the same incident, it's highly possible I would believe what I want to believe, not necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the context of that, I'll just give a very funny example. When I was a kid, maybe when I was a teenager or something, I always used to hear this one case, Sanjay Gandhi slapped Indira Gandhi. There was a very popular this thing because Sanjay Gandhi was a very brash, arrogant guy and all that, And I thought, what kind of nonsense they talk and all that. And then one day, and I was having drinks with some guy in Karnataka, He's a kind of a businessman, little connected to politics and all that. So he started telling me, like when Indira Gandhi was very scared whether she'll win after the emergency, Devraj Arts told her, you can win. Say, I'll make you win in some Chikmagalur. So for some reason she trusted him and she contested there and she won. Okay. After she winning, to tell thanks to the constituency, she sent Sanjay Gandhi. All this who was narrating me, this drunkard. It was 5-6 drinks down. Okay. And now Sanjay Gandhi came, and then when he was going around to thank whatever, he was accompanied by a man called Gundu Rao. So Gundu Rao told this guy, who Sanjay Gandhi, that actually it's on my commitment to Devraj happened. Devraj doesn't have anything. It is the main guy is me.
Yeah.
For some reason, Sanjay Gandhi believed it. Gundu Rao. Now Sanjay Gandhi went back and told Indira Gandhi that actually it is Gundu Rao, we are unnecessarily pushing Devraj and this. And I think you should make Gundu Rao the CM. So Indira Gandhi said, Devraj is a guy who came and he talked, how can I make Gundu Rao? So Sanjay Gandhi called Gundu Rao Said, this is what my mom is saying. Said, if you don't think otherwise, actually, I think there is something going on between your mother and Devarajas, he said. Now, Sanjay Gandhi went and confronted, and in anger, she slapped him, and in return, he slapped her.
Okay.
This is a story he told me.
This is the story told to you by
this drunkard.
Okay.
This guy who's on 5-6 drinks down, who's a Karnataka politician businessman.
Yeah.
Now I believed it. You know why? Because it sounded believable. Common sense tells me this guy couldn't have been there when Gundurao and Sanjay Gandhi are talking, or what's happening between Sanjay Gandhi and Indira Gandhi. But the screenplay fits in so perfectly, it sounded believable to me. Everything in life is that. So at the time, I was randomly hearing a rumor, it didn't sound believable, but now the way he viewed the scenes, one after the other, it looked believable. Now this is just a narration on between two guys who are drunk.
Yeah.
At the back of my mind, I know it is not possible for him to know.
Yeah.
But when it is being told, it looks believable.
Yeah.
So when I am seeing Durandhar, I don't know, I never heard of Pakistani gangs. I never heard of Lyri. I never heard of any of those characters.
Yeah.
Till Dhurandhar came, then I might have checked here and there. So when I am seeing all this is happening, it is being told, and I know lesser than the guy is telling me, why would I not believe?
Yeah.
One part. Then second is, I would like to believe it. Forget about believing. When I have no chance of knowing it is the truth or not, why shouldn't I like to believe it?
Yeah.
Entire world works on beliefs. It doesn't work on knowing the truth. How many truths we will know? If Trump and Iran or whatever is fighting, we will only believe what we want to believe. Iranians will believe something.
Yeah.
Americans will believe something else. Somebody else will believe. Entire thing works on just beliefs and from point of views and perspectives. Why would Durandhar be different?
When you see the last time you got so excited and charged about a movie was after Animal. What is the difference in your mind between an Animal, which you also said broke the rules, did all these things and all that, and a Dhurandhar, which again now affected you very deeply? What is the difference between these two?
The difference I'll tell you, Animal was pretty much there is still another version of Godfather for me. Instead of Michael Corleone, Sonny Corleone kind of a guy was played by Ranveer. It's still a father-son, and the father was being attacked by enemies, and the son takes revenge. Pretty much it's in the same template.
The template, yeah.
Durandhar, I don't believe it is that. Durandhar, the nearest example I can give is that James Haddige's characters into a Frederick Foster kind of a scale.
Yeah.
Animal didn't have scale. The villains were pretty much ordinary villains. In the way he shot, in the way he characterized Ranveer Kapoor, the shock element of some of the scenes in the conception, and that is what for me.
Yeah.
But Durandhar's scale is too big. It is, So in that what happens, see, if you take the hero, in fact I mentioned this to Sandeep also, I said the difference between a Shiva or a Michael Corleone or these kind of people and Animal, nobody will look up to Ranveer Kapoor. You enjoy his performance. You are awed by his acting and what he does. Shiva you look up to as a man, even if you know him in real life. Michael Corleone, you respect that man. Same thing with Hamza. So in Hamza, what happened, most of the time it doesn't explain. It doesn't talk, it doesn't explain his actions. It is inferred for you to feel what he is feeling rather than. And the complexity of his interrelationship with so many characters in the film, placed in so many hierarchies. Many times he's just observing, many times he's not saying anything at all. He's just as an observer, we're listening to the people.
Yeah.
So by the end of it, you are connected to him more than anybody else. Even though, yes, technically it's his story. But his story is the least explained in the context of how a normal screenplay will do. So those kind of pattern breaking. So I saw that this is how intelligent networks work. Really? When did you ever feel? I never felt. I never ever. Like I said, for the want of a better explanation, you will listen to the most convincing explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that really surprised me about Dhurandhar and Dhurandhar 2 was, like you said, there are so many things that the movie breaks in terms of, taken as purely as a film, there's so many things that the film breaks. I could not believe that a big hero would take up such a role, which is so internalized.
Yeah.
Because right from the Bachchan days, which is the template for the modern day hero, pre-Bachchan, let's not get into Rajendra Kumar and
Yeah, yeah,
Rajesh
correct,
Khanna. That is a different
Correct.
Shami Kapoor. That's a different era. Let's talk about the modern, violent, drama-filled whatever era, right? From Bachchan onwards, yes, Bachchan was internalized. There was a lot of internal anger. All that was there, but there were all these punchy dialogues that came out from time to time and told you what he was feeling or what he was doing, and that format was followed for a long time. But here, there are so many close-ups of the hero Hamza, which you are left to kind of interpret what he's feeling about that whole scene.
Yeah.
In very few scenes, like when he tells his wife why he did what he did. And those are also bigger scenes because they kind of explain that the enmity is not with the nation, but with people within that country who are trying to harm his nation. Uh, Only those parts you get an idea of what is really going on within him. Otherwise, he's, like you said, so for a hero to take up this part was itself surprising for me. So, do you think this might also affect the way heroes look at films to pick up from now on?
See, there is no two ways about it, but I'll tell you the main problem there is, see, one thing we're talking about the scenes, we're talking about the content of the whatever. Here, the main thing what people are not realizing, that's also the reason why Ranveer Singh would have agreed to do it. It is Aditya Dar's personality, the way he can explain
Right.
how it is going to look like. Now you can get tons of money, you can have the intent, but where will you get Aditya Dar? See, I am not trying to put down any filmmaker. That's not my intention. See, we've been living in the last whatever years. Hero का elevation scene दे दो, introduction scene में ऐसा fight है, इधर एक fight है, and people throw into the air, and you get the best action directors and spend tons of money, and it will come, you know. But the nuances and the tremendous character detail in their emotional context, this is not something which you'll understand on paper.
Right.
If you just read it in a description text or the lines, that is not it is. For example, when he burns the photo of his wife and son, I actually had I got a lump in my throat. That is something which you will never be able to tell on paper how it is going to look like. It looks like, no character looks like he stepped out of a makeup van. They look like they stepped out of life. Every character, I'm not talking about the principals, Now, that is an organically coming from Aditya because of his tremendous sensitivity inside him as a human being, his research, his attention to detail, all that is cumulatively taken that. If our directors, they don't have that and they try to imitate this, now how will you imitate? See, for example, let us say, when he's at the airport waiting and his friend comes out, from off the airport.
Oh, yeah.
The stay on his close-up and the length of time he did that. Now, are you going to I should have a long stay like Durandar because it worked there? Or do I have to get the expression and how it built up to that and the way the intercuts happen and all that?
Yeah.
I'll give one example. In Shiva, my first film, there was this thing where Chakri comes out of thing and the man looks and slightly nods, and indicating that we are here, Now, after the film released and became a big hit, one director told me the same actor, he worked with him in some film, See, do that what you did in Shiva, just slightly or not, you know. So he did that. Action again, he said. Said, no, you didn't do it. No, I did it. No, you should do it a little more. And then, start camera, action. No, that won't get registered. Finally made him do, no.
Okay.
So, now that is about each person's sensibility. Why will it be the same?
Yeah.
Sunny Deol in a patriotic film will shout very loud. In Hamza doesn't shout on me. The sensibility difference can be that different, you know, in the context of that, you know. So the immediate problem will be for the directors. We've been building heroes. People are throwing papers and coins and shouting and not even listening to what's happening there with thundering background music. Here we have a hero in the first scene is beaten up badly and with his teeth broken and all that. And now do you do that? Now what happens to the fans? But now why are the same fans watching Durandhar more than their films? It is going to disrupt like nobody's business. And then the action directors, like where, you know, imagine something like a big film which came with two big stars. In a climax fight of them fighting, I saw them, this guy hits him, there's no expression on him. That guy hits other guy, that guy has no expression, 15-minute fight chal raha hai. I asked one of the people working that, what is the point of a fight if you don't see the impact of the punch or the hit or whatever? He said, no sir, he said his fan base won't like it if he shows pain. You know, that is the reason they refuse to show pain. Now here we have Hamza, when Major Iqbal stabs him in the chest unexpectedly, I never saw pain that genuine in my life. And that of a hero. A villain is stabbing him and his pain is like he's going to die, maybe. You know, that is the kind of a realism they shot. And that is not taking away the heroism. Instead of that, you're actually believing and feeling and connecting to him more than the guy who's walking in slow motion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is the whole problem with Dhurandhar. That is the reason I said it's a horror film. Actually, it is going to make you rethink and revisit everything what you thought. I said in one word the difference between the other films and Dhurandhar. The other filmmakers are making what they think the audience want to see. And Aditya, what he's done, he made a film what he wants to tell.
Right.
That is what which sets him apart in the uniqueness aspect. All of them, if you look at the actions, are similar. The item songs are similar. Hero ka dialogue bazi is similar. Because they are following what they thought the audience have liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you made Shiva, you were also breaking a template. Because for that time, Nagarjuna's character was a very different hero from the hero
Correct.
that was shown earlier. So, why do you think a person who has made Shiva and broken the template, a person who has made Satya and changed the way Mumbai cinema looks at the underworld? Because you may say inspired by Godfather and all that, but Satya changed something in the way people looked at the underworld. So why do you think you who have done all these things are so taken by Dhurandhar and Dhurandhar 2?
But that is what I'm saying. See, you have to understand. Shiva is set in a college.
Right.
And some chota mota goons come and students. Satya is sent, some Mumbai underworld. Not big, they're gully gangsters. That kind of, I'm not saying Hamza is Shiva kind of character, but that real and that human to be put in the scale of geopolitics, intelligence network, going to a strange place like Pakistan, most hostile thing with all those kind of Major Iqbal and Aslam Chowdhury to pitch against them, the whole thing is amped up to 100.
So you're saying,
that is what I'm saying.
You're saying what has impressed you is the scale of the vision. Of the vision.
Correct.
Of Aditya's vision, the scale of it has impressed you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the moment the scale becomes big, also what becomes big, the characters become even more larger.
Yeah.
The emotions become more larger.
Yeah.
Everything is amped up.
Yeah. But what makes you think that
Huh.
an audience that is watching and enjoying Dhurandhar, which is probably like practically all the cinema going audience today, why do you think they will not buy a Sarkar 4?
But for the same reason, see, once I tasted Frederick Fawcett, I never read James Arnold Chase again.
Okay.
That's the same reason. Yeah.
But Aditya
See, no, no,
himself
no.
may make a fantasy movie next time or anything else. It's not, he himself may change tracks and do something else, right? So, do we look.
See, I can't speak for Aditya or anybody for
Yeah,
that matter.
yeah.
My whole point, any kind of a film can work anytime. Intention of the filmmaker to make a film or to make a film with as much impact. See, we all have some motivation.
Right.
We all have intention. We all have something. Okay, now let's say I'm wanting to make Syndicate, instead of Sarkar 4. Now, Syndicate, on a one line, if I say, what if the entire law and order of India collapses in just one single day? Is the basic theme of Syndicate. Due to whatever happened. The entire policing system and all that just disappears because of something. Versus, this is about a powerful man in a state and has got an influence over the voters, whatever, people, and bad people are trying to kill him, and how somebody takes revenge. That line itself, I feel, is I can make it good, I can make nice scenes, all that is there. But if you challenge yourself with a kind of a theme or a concept which is going to make you feel uncertain or in a new territory, you're trying to grow up in the dark to get how to do this, which I had at Satya time, which I had at Shiva time, Now, making Sarkar for me, I looks like I can do it with my left hand because the world I'm so familiar with.
Right.
I already know the characters. And the world has its limitations. You can't stretch it beyond what it defines. Like Godfather 1, 2, 3, they'll be more or less in the same. New characters might come and go, but then if you do that in a scale or in a background or in a kind of a theme which you have not heard before, I feel, and you're spending the same time, you're spending everything the same, why not think bigger?
So, there is this other thing that Dhurandhar has broken, which is that, audience attention span has changed. They will not watch. You need the short breakdowns to be very small. You need to keep cutting constantly. All that, everybody has a theory, right? Now that has been thoroughly blown out of the water by Durandar. That is, I'm not saying it will apply to every movie, but at least this movie, people are watching.
See, for me, that aspect, I never believed in the context of too much length. This is because if film is boring, you'll get bored in 15 minutes. And the instances, ever since Narcos came for the first time, people binge watch for 2-3 days. It's about the holding power of the narrative. Length, I never really believed.
Right.
So at the point of time, because 2 or 3 long films would have flopped, and they will say, no, it can't be more than 2 hours. And now yesterday I was with the producer. He was telling the writer, minimum 3.5 hours hona chahiye. He's telling the writer.
He's telling the writer.
So
So the producer is telling the man who earlier would say, finish it.
2 घंटे से ज़्यादा नहीं.
Yeah.
Maximum 220. Yeah.
215,
Now that guy is come
220.
to. Yeah.
He's saying he wants a 3.5 hour film. And
So now if tomorrow Sandeep Anga announces that Spirit is going to be 4.5 hours, it could be a very good thing.
he might actually make films that are
Now see, the in thing is now this, the length. The more longer, the more better.
How do you explain the fact that Border 2 is also working well and Dhurandhar is also working? Of course, the scale is different, but audiences are going to both movies. Border 2 is a classical...
See, that is my point. See, working well, lot of films work well. I'm going to surprise something comes next month or whenever it might work. Impact is very different. Shiva also worked. In the same year of Shiva, there would have been some Kartavyam, some Ankusham, some this. The commercially, I don't think there was a difference more than 10, 20, 30%, But Shiva lasts for the longest time because they discuss the characters, they discuss the events, they discuss the scenes. The impact is different from that.
Right.
There'll be thousands of books published, but only some books get that, no?
Yeah.
A lot of people might have read. The fact that someone wrote, someone published, someone sold it, they are existing. There's a Enid Blyton book, more people would read Enid Blyton or one of those Milson Boone and all that. But that doesn't mean that and Godfather can be compared. So that's the reason I'm saying. Say Border 2, I'm not talking about Border 2. Many films which did 300, 400, 500, I never heard anybody discussing anything. That particular day, they were free, and that was one more interesting thing, and they felt that registers as a collection.
You were talking about people still talking about the scenes of Shiva. What are some of the scenes of Dhurandhar that really impacted you? You talked about Madhavan saying, you did good. That's something that really impacted you. You talked about the feeling a lump in your throat when he burned the photograph. What are some of the scenes as a director?
Like one scene after the so-called climax fight in our language, after he kills Major Iqbal, when he makes a call to Sarah. Now, she doesn't know what to say, he doesn't know what to say. They can't see each other, they're on the phone. He held on those close-ups for nearly 5 minutes, it seemed to me. I asked him, how can you take a call like that on the editing table? I can understand in the flow of the picture because I don't know, I'm sucked into the emotion. On the editing table to take a call like that, to have that much of length, I find it impossible, Which basically means he's able to, I don't know if humble is the right word, he's a guy constant, and he told me, that was my editor's call, he said, I never saw a director on a one-to-one conversation, him giving credit to others. This is the first time I met a guy. I saw them on the stage, it's teamwork, his name Okia, and he will talk about assistant, that is about trying to act humble. One-to-one, he's giving credit to everybody around him. So he said, and once I do that, I trust my technicians. My editor said this should be this much of length. And I'm more surprised the editor. The editor will be watched in cuts, in shots. At least the director, after the edit is over, is seeing a scene. Now, how does the editor make that decision to put such a lengthy thing post, So, because you are so immersed with the characters, now if you look at it, I think Sarah has 4 scenes in the film. But she still matters. Wherever she comes, it makes a difference, So I think he personally, his respect for the characters he created and the moments and the emotions is of such high quality, or for want of a better word, that is which is making him give that much of time for each of them.
Right.
So the director will say, ये छोटा रोल है, so ये काट दो, एक बार रीस्ट हो गया, phone करके बोल दिया. See, that is how flatly they will talk about stories, and that is what will reflect in the film.
Right.
But then that film might work for reasons other than that.
There is, in the first film, we had Rahman Dakait, the Akshay Khanna character, who practically was on par with Ranveer in terms of and he had the more, the bigger visibility, optics rather, because Ranveer was intentionally in the background because he was trying this kind of a thing. In this movie, we don't have that flamboyant a villain. Did you miss that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
See, if I'm seeing the story going, and okay, Akshay, the character of Rahman Dakait, obviously it's a kind of a play to the gallery in terms of what a Gabbar Singh did in Sholay, in spite of the presence of Amitabh Bachchan and Dharmendra, people talked more about Gabbar. I think it worked on that. But you can't say without Veeru and Jay also the film. So in the context for me of that, I didn't miss him at all. Not because I knew that he was not there, already because he was killed in the first part. I never felt if that film has this, that is a typical industry thinking. Udhar item song ye hai to isme item song kaun sa hai? That kind of a template imitation is not what anywhere it was followed. See, after him getting if after him beating the main villain, if you can call Major Iqbal that, and then him being beaten by some unknown guy,
Yeah.
every time it is surprising you. You know what I'm saying? So when I am seeing everything is holding me each and every moment, why will I miss anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like the
And I one more genius I felt. See, Arjun Rampal for me, he was functional to a degree, and the film started. He's coming and going and all that. Now, post Aslam Chowdhury's death, I was concerned that suddenly to the shift of to make Arjun Rampal into the main villain, I thought that will be that will be a problem.
Okay.
You know, I was just worried about that when watching the film. And brilliantly, with the father scene in the tub and holding his tongue, that one moment suddenly elevated Major Iqbal more than what Aslam Chaudhry represented before. You know, those kind of things are plenty. If you ask me to say one scene, two scene, I can keep on going. Yeah.
I love the assassination scene. The car with the Aslam,
Yeah.
that was just so unexpected.
You know, I'll tell you, the moment the explosion happened, you know what came into a flash in my mind? Bhikkhu Matre's death.
Okay.
Bhikkhu Matre is suddenly shot out of the blue. You know, that kind of a moment, he put it on a 70 IMAX. I'm talking about, that is what I'm calling scale.
Yeah.
In a room and they're talking and suddenly Bhikkhu Matre getting shot by a bow, for me on a huge scale, on a parallel is Aslam Chaudhry's death.
Right.
Yeah. Which is the reason I'm so impressed. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing that impressed me really, and like you, I really like both the films very much, is like you say, the stay. For example, the stays on the emotional moments, like for me, the part where he walks home, he wears his turban and walks home, and it's a very simple shot, reverse shot, reverse shot. He just goes on and on and on, and you're thinking, now they're going to turn, or now he's going to say ma or something like that. Because when something is stretched out, you expect a certain
Correct.
payoff, so to speak. But then they go away, and he the gate is closed, and he turns, and that was more powerful and emotional to me than if they had shown him shed a tear, or him saying, or in a mind voice saying, nahi inko rehne do, mujhe ye nahi chahiye, or something like that, or explaining later to Madhavan that, okay, now I have changed or something. There is no explanation. There is just the event happening, and the audience is left to understand the emotions. And what I liked about it is Aditya is saying the audience will understand. I don't have to explain. At this moment, they will understand exactly what is going through here. These guys have moved on in life. He wants to enter their life again, but he goes away. I don't need to explain anything. I don't need words at all. That conviction was also very
See, that is one of the most incredible things for me, actually. So the point is, when you think of a story, and then when you start shooting, you're making a film, taking it shot by shot, and you're distracted so much. Kuch lighting chal raha hai, kuch ye ho raha hai, assistant director will come and talk and all that. It's very difficult to sustain an emotion in the process of shooting. It can partly be there when you're reading the script or writing, maybe little in the editing and the final. So how would he determine that he's going on watching nothing happening, no payoff, like what you said, to sustain it for that long a time? What a director requires is an extraordinary sensitivity in terms of what he's dealing with. He's able to shut off everything, and to be able to live through what already Hamza, Jesse has lived through. He's able to maintain it when he's shooting and editing independent scenes. That is not a mean feat.
What did you think of the action scene which shows Jaskirat taking revenge on the people that affected his family? What did you think of that, the way that was staged?
You see, I see the violence part, though I thought was, I don't like to use the word over the top in terms of, but the fact that the kind of character Jesse's and the way Ranveer Singh showed his rage and all that, my personal sensibility, I don't believe in so much of gore
Okay.
in violence. But at the same time, I don't think Durandar is the same film without that
Yeah.
level of gore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
See, if you look at it when he pulls Major Iqbal on top of the kerosene thing, that I thought was in the context. Let me put it this way: if the intention is just to kill him, he could have done it. Otherwise, he doesn't need to go through all the trouble of pulling him up and all that. But then in the wide shot when he's walking away, that on a subtext, it is building something which is what actually the scale of the film is. You know, all the action, more or less, I think for me is the same.
Yeah. What is the subtext thing? I didn't get it.
No, I'm saying it is suddenly making him look larger than life because of the wide shot of
because
the
of-
kerosene thing.
Yeah. Because the God's eye view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without making him as a person look larger than life, he's making the events around make him look larger than life.
Right.
That's a very new way of doing it.
Right.
So in effect, what he's doing is what the pan-India filmmakers do
Yeah.
to make that. But
Yeah.
he's done it in a way which is so whatever.
Now, every once in a while, we get a film that breaks whatever, the storytelling or the thing or whatever. Now, I do think of Shiva and Satya as those movies, but let's take the big movies, right? We get a Mughal-e-Azam. That's one era, right? That breaks everything. And then suddenly we move into the 70s and we get Sholay. Now that breaks everything. And then we move into the 80s and you get like a combination of QSQT and Maine Pyar Kiya, whatever it is. Now that breaks everything. And then these things become a kind of model for a few years or whatever it is, right? Now, what do you think this is going to become a model for?
This, I think, will become for everything, including craft, including character design, screenplay structuring. I think it will be going on, be quoted forever, for a very long time until something else comes up like this came up. Because see, the whole point is we have this habit of calling now director by definition is a guy is taking the calls on how to translate a given scene on paper using the various crafts to put it on the scene. Now, like you very well know, this auteur theory of what a director means is different, where his personality gets reflected. Mughal-e-Azam is not like that. Mughal-e-Azam at that time, in terms of, for example, I feel Steven Spielberg is an auteur, Coppola is not.
Right.
Coppola more or less in the context of, he shot it like a TV series. But the power of writing, the characters, the performances makes it look...
And the lighting and all that, yeah.
Whereas Steven Spielberg does things like, for example, put it this way, the first time when they see the shark in Jaws, now Roy Scheider is sitting on the keel putting fish in the water, and Robert Shaw is in the cabin and they both are talking something, and suddenly the shark comes and he just gets like a close-up of a blank look and he held on to him for some time.
Yeah.
Then cut to Robert Shaw's station, he comes walking back. We need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Cut to extreme top angle and you see the shark going from under the board in relation to the boat size you see. So that line was written for the shot. In reality, probably you would have screamed and you would have come running. That is actually real.
Yeah.
So this is a cinematic design, what Spielberg is doing, which is what I called an auteur, for the want of a better word.
Yeah.
Those elements also are there.
Yeah.
Then the performances and to make the audience feel the depth of the emotion instead of verbalizing it. So every aspect of cinema, coming to music, now the contrast of a dark, violent thing is happening and some tama song is going. So in a way, it is celebrating the violence.
Yeah.
anybody will put dark background score
Yeah.
because it is to emphasize what is already happening on the visual. Many times he played the contrast.
Right.
So in every department, whether it's editing or background score or the usage of songs or X or Y, it is a benchmark for everything. There is no single thing which I feel in this it is very good, in this it's okay. I mean, the very fact I'm not able to think of a film which is near to it makes my point.
Right. In what, again, there are many scenes, but tell me a couple of scenes where you see the auteur, like you described the Spielberg scene in Aditya Dhar.
Yeah. See, for like, see the point is when if in the editing pattern of cutting, when he's after he's left and he's thrown on the road, is coming,
Okay.
and the car stops.
Oh,
He
okay.
comes.
At the end. Okay.
And he opens the door and he comes in and sees such sudden cut to this guy. It's like a suspense film, actually.
Yeah.
In a way, it is changing genres in the same breath
Yeah.
of it. There is an action film happening, there is a crime drama, then there is a relationship drama and all that. See, those things you take it for granted in the sense of that. It's just in the cutting.
Yeah.
If the same scene was shot, it's like him coming and him getting down, it will be a different thing.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Actually,
you are building moments point by point of whatever. This is what is called elevation, actually.
Yeah.
Our guys do it in slow motion and ear thumping background music. That's what they think is elevation.
what I liked about that scene was he gets into the car, closes the door, it's still dark, the light comes on, and then you see
Yeah, that's
who
what I'm
it
saying.
is.
Yeah.
So it's not even like he opened the car and he said, no.
Yeah.
He gets into the car, he's still suspicious. You can see by the walk that he's a little suspicious about what's going to happen, whatever it is. But he has no option. He's thrown in the middle of the road. He walks to the car, gets into the car, shuts the door, light comes on. That's when the reveal happens.
yes.
So exactly, like there is a drama that happens in that. The reveal itself is drama.
Correct.
As opposed to him opening the door and
Correct.
then seeing the thing.
See, you are giving information point by point to every shot to create some kind of an impact.
Right. What if I were to ask you things that you felt could have been better? What would you say?
See, in the course of watching the film, sometimes I felt some scenes, I thought Jamil's character, Rakesh Bedi, they were looking a little non-sync even in the color palette, him being in the garden with his things and all that. But then by the time I come to the end, I felt they also contributed. In fact, because they lowered my expectation and I kind of underestimated him. If I don't like the scene, that also is my comment on the character.
Right.
But then when he appears in the end, even they kind of. So, in other words, in the course of watching, I might have felt that. But when I saw in the overall, by the time it finishes, I didn't. Okay? Then the third is, probably I was a little this about the treatment of Dawood Ibrahim's character. But that again is a context of what I think or what I know from my sources about Dawood. Is I felt, but that is about my knowledge versus his knowledge.
Yeah.
But if I don't know that as a filmmaker, I wouldn't have had that problem. The only time I felt it was a little this when he stumbles on the when this guy puts some dawai in Dawood's food, and he goes and vomits in the thing, and that I felt though the intent could be right, but that was sounding like a very ordinary mainstream film to make him look like a comedian.
You're talking about that skin thing, right?
No, I'm talking about when he puts that medicine and Dawood is trying to.
Oh,
climb
right.
Yeah, I'm saying
Okay.
That I thought, because technically speaking, he would be more dangerous than all the other characters.
Yeah.
The kind of a dignity which he gave there, I felt he didn't give here.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, that actually worked because I felt he was playing with my expectations of how a villain would be treated. I think you think a big guy should not get humiliating moments, but here he's he's really playing with the rules of how you treat a
And
hero.
maybe that's what I'm saying.
How you treat a villain, and that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
Of course, but what the other thing is, when at the end, when you see Rakesh Bedi's character having done what he did, which is that whole thing, that skin thing, I'm like, wow, this is a mass moment, but it's not looking like a slow motion mass moment from the other films. It's mass because it's giving you a thrill of, wow, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And that way that you get that electricity, but you're not getting it the traditional way of whatever it is, right? It's like either through a punch dialogue or through a something. It's through an action that fits in with the. So the way for me the screenplay was so good is because everything just locked in together. If anything, I would say I would have wished from my side would have been a little more detailed was the relationship between the husband and the wife. I felt that could have been like shown a little more, because in the first part she came across as somebody who was a little unhinged and who was equally like dangerous. Here I felt that she was a little like I felt that aspect of hers could have been a little more developed, but for maybe they didn't.
But I felt that is the originality of it. That's the most expected thing to happen, you know. By not having that and only limiting her to the most pivotal points of whatever is character, keeping her small, I thought was a more bigger impact.
And when I came back, why I felt that worked later was because you know that she really loves him, and you know that he loves her even though he doesn't say as much. So at that point when he burns that photograph, that emotion becomes even more, because you know that he has a family waiting for him in Pakistan and a wife that loves him and a son, and he's got to let go of all of that.
Yeah.
So it's like this one. So now there's been talk about Dhurandhar 3. Do you think he should go ahead and do something like that?
I personally don't think so. So
Okay.
in my opinion, I think it's a wonderful story of the journey of Hamza or Jesse from where it started, and also all the main characters and the world he created, all of them met some kind of an end or the other. I personally feel it will be stretching.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there are
And Aditya is too brilliant a guy to hang on to one world. Why should he do that? Yeah.
right. Did you see the two films as the first film is setup and the second film is payoff?
Yeah, for sure. Because anyway, that was the original intention
Right.
before they were to make it in two parts. Yeah.
Was setup and payoff. Right. So no, it can also be that, like for example in Godfather, when Godfather ends, it is actually a complete movie. This clean cut boy who's in the Navy, American Marines or whatever it is, that's patriot, has become at the end, he's become the Godfather. That itself is a full movie. So when we move to Godfather 2, we see the further corruption of Michael's soul, so to speak, where he kills his brother, and he becomes so power obsessed that he becomes a bad guy himself. Because that is another way of taking a thing. But here it's like there's a hinge in the middle. So the first half sets up the whole thing, and the second half completes the whole thing. So it's actually like it's one continuous 7-hour or 8-hour movie. Did you get that feeling that?
You see, my whole point is, because of the whole things, if you look at it, I don't think in the history of cinema there will be more thunder interval than Durandhar 2. The word interval bang goes for a toss if you look at it. And they both are washing their faces and something he says that's it. Yeah, interval, So why I'm mentioning that in this context is, see, when you are invested in a character or a bunch of characters in a certain setting, sometimes when you're watching an episode, you might watch 2 episodes and then you're busy, and maybe you might catch the 3rd episode after 2-3 days or sometime, that doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Because you're journeying with the characters.
Yeah.
And also, I feel a film is like a person in a sense of the word. Like what I mean by that is there'll be some things you might like in me, some things you dislike, some things you are neutral,
Yeah.
some things very much, or you might think what happened to Ramo. That exactly is what a film does to each viewer in different ways.
Yeah.
So if you and me can 3-4 times talk every day on something, we might not talk for a month after that. And then we get back, there is still a sense of continuation.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel largely Dhurandhar work like that.
Right.
Especially when the chapters are divided, the chapter made me feel it's like a reset. No, it's like it kinds of gives a zoom out mode.
Right.
If the chapter is not there and if it is cut, it is going at a certain pace, even the chapter could be for 10 seconds only for your reading time, you know. But it gives a reset.
Right.
Oh, so far this happened. Huh? Okay, no, then let me see that. That is what episodes do, in a sense, you know. So I think there's a multitude of aspects there. I can't pinpoint on exactly one thing. What's happening?
No, you already pinpointed.
Yeah.
But I think the beauty of this movie for me is that it makes me want to justify everything that I have seen, even though I might have some issues with it. For example, the only time we see Rahman Dakait's wife is in an echo shot of what happened in the first one. The first time we see Rahman Dakait's wife in the first film, she slaps Akshay because of what has happened with their son and all that.
Yeah.
In this, the only time we see her is when she slaps Ranveer, and then she goes away from the movie. She's no longer relevant because that family is gone. So the thing is not relevant. Similarly, I want to see a little more of her, but I'm also, one part of me says that's all her role in this universe is. Beyond that, she doesn't have much of a role. I mean, theoretically, you can expand every single role and make it bigger. Similarly, this Rahman Dakait's brother, Uzair, in the first part, he has this big role, like because he's like part of this threesome that consists of Rahman Dakait, Ranveer, and Uzair. But here, Ranveer makes him sit on the throne. At first, he's very uncomfortable occupying his brother's throne. 2 shots later, he's much more comfortable in his body language. And you think that big things are going to happen, and then something else happens.
Correct.
And he's put off in jail and you know, like he's used at the end. Again, that's a very different way of thinking about a major character, because most writers would think, oh, this is a major character, we have to do something major with this guy, we have to use him in a very major way. But he is being used in a major way, except that we don't see it.
Yeah.
Did you like that part?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And for me, that one shot of when Ranveer Singh says, and when this IS officer at the end, he says, but already I said we caught someone. Now what do I do? When he talks to Madhavan and it suggests Vijay Baloch. I kept him alive only for this. That was a killer. you know?
So all this said, Dhurandhar has happened. It has altered the DNA of Ram Gopal Varma. What next?
Forget Ram Gopal Varma. It will alter the DNA of the film industry. I will be surprised if every office is not on serious thing to read, looking at their drafts and what they wanted to make, what they're about to start. All of that is going to be under microscope now.
But do you think the fact that a Sayyara worked last year is also somehow going to influence some love stories that are coming up or whatever? Because
anything works is bound to influence.
Yeah.
See, because people tend to follow success, and why not? They should. You know?
They should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of this is a business.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. See, in the context here the difference with the Sayyara. See, a love story working is very different from a so-called mass hero commercial action film or a big ticket film where your high budgets, 400 crores, 500 crores kind of films are a completely different ballgame. You know, they will be in problem. See, another love story might work or something else might work. A Kashmiri Files might work again. But the design of the big ticket films is what is going to be in a severe peril.
Right.
Yeah.
So earlier this year, we had Raja Saab, which is Prabhas's film, and that was supposed to be, I think it was the pan-India release and all that. But one of the things that was immediately obvious to everybody who saw that was the writing was so ordinary. The scale, maybe they tried to do something like in terms of budget, bigness, whatever, but the writing was very, very ordinary. Do you think, therefore, that new writers will be asked to enter the film industry who have the sensibility, and it will affect the older writers.
See, to start with, I don't think it's about. See, the writer always writes what is being briefed to him.
Yeah.
What kind of film? Writer is not independent. That's first of all a misconception. A producer or director will tell a writer, "हमको ऐसा ऐसा इस तरह की film चाहिए." That is what he will do. And if the same writer is asked to do something like Durandar, he will do.
Yeah.
The same writer also might do that. So here the point is about your intention or what kind of film you want to make.
Yeah.
A KGF 2 works and everybody wants to do KGF 2. A triple R works or something, they want to do that. That is been a general practice ever since the movie industry came, you know. Now here the problem is the treatment of the hero. That will be at question actually.
So what do you think?
Once that changes, everything changes.
How do you think a Dhurandhar would affect, let's say, not affect or impact the reception of a movie like Varanasi, which is the very, very big and very expected kind of movie?
See, Varanasi, since it's a fantasy, a spectacle, it is, I mean, it looks like some kind of a version of a Raiders of the Lost Ark or something like that. I don't think that will be in so much of direct comparison to something like Dhurandhar 2.
Okay.
What will be in the other films, like the KGF 2 worlds or Pushpa 2, these kind of whatever films are being made in that format, they will be in grave danger.
Okay.
Now imagine, after seeing Dhurandhar 2, see, if Pushpa 2 came now, which is also a very big hit, you know, will they watch somebody flying around biting people on the neck and shoulders with his hands tied back? I am not highly doubtful about it, because there was no benchmark before Durandar.
Right.
Action aisa hona chahiye, ye aisa that was not there.
Right.
Durandar put that benchmark now.
Right.
So ये Durandar देखने के बाद अगर मैं इसको देखूं, you know, that's a problem. See, in South, like very big Pawan Kalyan film came along with the dubbing version of Dhurandhar, and the Telugu dubbing version is doing better than that film.
Right.
Because people never tasted anything like that Dhurandhar.
Right.
So it's like you always have a benchmark, both the filmmaker and the audience, that मेरे को ऐसे type की देखना है.
So again, one of the things that people are constantly saying is that the Yash Raj spy universe is gone and all that. But I see that as two separate things. One is like a James Bond type of or Mission Impossible kind of fantasy spy universe. This is a more realistic.
Correct.
And both exist. Like there, even in Hollywood, you have the fantasy spy, and here also you have that, right? But what do you think? It's like, do you think...
See, that is what I'm saying. The differentiation is not about working on a commercial level. It is on an impact.
Impact, okay.
Yeah. So
what will last?
See, the impact, of course. See, those kind of films will never put a benchmark. See, James Bond is a franchise. Nobody tries to imitate a James Bond because working on the character created in 1960s, and it's like a kind of a... It keeps on going.
Yeah.
To an extent, Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
But neither of them are like, it is not that. They grew at a certain time. You know, they grew into like a comic books, for example.
Yeah.
Like there's a Phantom, there's a Tarzan, there is a Mission Impossible, you know. Whereas Durandar 2 is a like a, it just upped the ante so much that it is not possible. If I see, for example, Durandar 2 and Jawan back to back, impossible for me. You know, Jawan I might see at one space, Durandar 2 I might see it one space. But the kind of hardcore impact this gave, those things, I'm finding Munich very, thanda. I tried to see Munich after watching Dhurandhar. It looked so thanda. Yeah. you know.
This is hard to believe, but yeah. But I know because I love that movie. So yeah.
That one close-up of Ranveer Singh in Dhurandhar 2 in the beginning, even when he was Jussie, you know, that has more intensity than entire Munich put together. You know.
So again, as a filmmaker who wants to make films, see, you have moved to Bombay, you're saying you're not going to make Telugu films anymore, you're going to make only Hindi films. Have you started thinking about what you're going to make next?
I'm making this film called Syndicate. That
Right.
is what, that is what I'm concentrating on. Yeah.
But so the Sarkar 4 was supposed to be a kind of an interim project?
interim, no. I wanted to make. It's
Okay.
not that,
No, what I'm asking is, remember the last time we spoke, you said while seeing Satya after
Yeah, correct.
27 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but you said that I just broke down and
Correct.
I felt like all the stuff that I've been making, now I have to renew myself. And is that movie Syndicate?
Yeah.
That would be this.
See, probably at that time I spoke to, maybe a year back or something, I can't recall. And at that time, probably even Sarkar 4 would have been in that.
Yeah.
You know? And I respected Satya a lot when I saw it. But Dhurandhar made completely wipe out everything, whatever in the last 35 years or so I believed about cinema, what I thought an upper limit of cinema can be or should be, all that got wiped out. All my so-called good films also, they seem like nothing after seeing Durand.
Yeah. So thank you, Ramu. Because
yeah.
whether I
But Syndicate, on a subject, on a context of what it deals with, at least to me, whether the audience will feel whether I can make it as good or whatever, that is, we have to wait and watch for that. But on intention level, I believe in my heart that it will be as good or as effective as Durandhar.
and when do you start?
Yeah, I'll be starting maybe in a few months, 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Are you getting writers?
The script is done.
Script is finished.
Most of it, yeah.
It's locked. So now it's a question of mounting the whole thing.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But thank you, all the best, and I hope that the Syndicate turns out to be everything that you want to be. But one of the things about you and talking to you is that it's not about agreeing or disagreeing. You're so fascinating in terms of how you put everything in perspective and in terms of cinema that, I think yearly twice if we talk, it just seems like a very nice exchange of ideas. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
டார்லிங் ஏசி திருவிழா இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் ஏசி.
சம்மர் வந்தாச்சு, எங்க கிட்ட விட்டுருங்க, நாங்க பாத்துக்கிறோம்.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
MCR Pure Cotton Club, formals and casual shirts.